First, dun sa incentive structure. Currently, yung incentive structure, when we speak of incentives, hindi ko lang sure kung pareho tayo. This is the fiscal incentives that the government usually gives through the ITP.
I'm talking about the general structure of incentives, whether you do it for fiscal or monetary or whatever. How are you going to change?
Yung dun sa fiscal incentives kasi, sir, what we're doing right now, kung dati, sir, ang approach namin is due to based lang on the prioritization of industries for activities that we actually do prioritize in the economy. That has been changed. For example, when we did our industry road mapping, what we did was we do a sectoral analysis of each of the sectors. Then we check whether which of the sectors would really need fiscal or non-fiscal support from the government. An example is auto. For the automotive sector, we've been trying to have a special program for them for the past decades. But our thinking is, should the existing program continue? What we have done in the study of auto is that there has to be a special package for the auto sector because the minimal fiscal support that we're giving them that is not really encouraging a lot of the domestic production for the large parts. So in that way, we're trying to reform the fiscal support that we're giving to the auto sector. Now, there are sectors that we think do not need the tax exemptions or the kind of fiscal incentives that we're giving. What they need as a proper intervention is government spending on support facilities. I'm speaking of, for example, industries that are needing testing facilities. Some of them would have to go outside of the country. For example, for the electronics, they're testing their products in Singapore instead of having it here. Now, DOST, what they have done is establish a testing facility that would cater to the services, to the needs of the semicon industry. Now, to cater to the other segments of the electronics industry, DOST also approved funding for a product development center for the same sector. And to supply the HR component of the electronics industry, they have also approved funding for a Philippine Institute for IC Design Engineers. So this is the kind of interventions, fiscal and non-fiscal, that we're doing for the sectors. And we've done this for all the sectors that we have the sectoral economics. So yun, sige sir, ang change ngayon is, hindi dahil clamor ng industriya, ilista mo ko sa ITP, therefore I should be able to be entitled to your tax exemption. Hindi na po ngayon gano'n ang approach namin. We look at your binding constraints and see, baka hindi man incentives ang kailangan mo, baka support lang for promotion activities, like what is the need for the IT-BPM sector. They've grown, they have a very strong organization. Now, what is the proper assistance for them? What they need more is promotion activities. A lot of them are small companies, they cannot go out of the country to promote themselves. So they're asking DTI to subsidize them in their participation in a lot of trade fairs and events outside of the country. So in terms of yung incentives po, ganun po yung ginagawa namin. Now, pagdating po dun sa binding constraints, some of those that were identified, for example, still includes ease of doing business. Now, pagdating po dun sa ease of doing business, we try to look at ano doon. Bigyan ko lang po ng sample, chemicals industry. It's a very regulated sector po. They are being handled by, I think, more than 10 agencies, or baka 20 pa, depende po sa produkto. So what we have done with the chemicals industry is they have a subcommittee in their working group that only handles permits and licenses. What they do is really talk to, for example, the Foreign Explosives Unit or the PNP, and they try to rationalize, talk with them, how can we facilitate the issuance of permits and licenses? Can we minimize the signatures? Is this really needed? So far, the small achievement we've had is they've been taken out of the list of the FDA, meaning meron po isang license na nawala from FDA in the importation of chemicals, certain chemicals. And in fact, we're doing a workshop for the chemical sector just to handle the permits and licenses issue of the whole sector. Meron din po kami, for example, sa furniture naman, their main concern is the raw material supply po. Now, in the sectoral working group, we're working with the Forest Management Bureau po of DNR. In fact, they have signed a MOA with them, and I think FMG and DNR committed about 50 hectares just for the plantation po of the furniture sector. They're also requesting, for example, for the small enterprises of their association, they have requested, for example, cane drying, yung mga ganun po. These are small equipment that actually our shared services facility in the DPRM were able to provide. So meron po specifics talaga na na-identify na po through the working groups, and that is what we addressed. Hindi na po yung talagang grand design na common measure for all sectors.